There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Welcome, everybody, to the Money Time Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Hernandez. And you guys, we finally got him inside the Money Time Podcast. I'm sure you know who this is. If you follow me, you definitely know who this is. We got the one and only Omar Alfaro in the building. Let's go.
What's up, baby?
Dude,
You ready?
stoked to have you on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's been a long time coming.
It's about time.
Yeah, it is. It's how long you been doing the Money Time Podcast for?
Since February?
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
When
man.
did we build? Because we both built our podcast at
the
the
same
same exact
time,
time. So
yeah.
when was that?
Yeah, February,
February? So we really didn't get started till like maybe March.
March. Yeah, it's still some time though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
awesome.
Good to be here, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
And we're
I'm
gonna
stoked-
wrap.
I'm stoked for the story, number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm stoked on what you've learned over your journey.
Right.
But for those of the people out there that don't know who you are, who are you?
Appreciate that, man. So check this out, guys. If you guys don't follow me, my name's Omar Alfaro, Invest with Omar. And I started in 2002, as a real estate agent. Do you want to go deeper? Like
Yeah, you can
how I started everything?
Yeah. Well, just like quick synopsis. So Omar Alfaro, where you're from? What
Cool.
do you do?
We buy and hold, we flip. I'm a real estate agent turned broker, now a team leader, and I've been in the real estate field for 21 years. And I've been able to, buy a lot of properties when the market was low and, at a decent time, and just be able to hold properties. We flip, we wholesale, we JV partner. But my main thing is holding property for the long term because of that compounded interest, that compounded wealth that you'll accumulate eventually. But I kind of stumbled across it, and it's been nice to see where the where our wealth goes now. I mean, everybody talks about net worth, and I don't really care for it. It's just there. It's just a number. But it's cool when you can see it. You're like, oh, yeah, I got some properties that actually are worth something. So,
I love
yeah.
it. Where are you from?
Actually, I'm from Apple Valley, California, which is a small little area in the high desert, Hesperia, Apple Valley, Victorville, but originally from Upland. That's where I was born.
I love it.
Yeah.
It. Omar runs the high desert. If you guys know where the high desert's at, he runs the whole town. He's the mayor. He's the president.
Yeah, right,
kidding.
man. I don't know if I can get into that politics aspect
I'm
of
only
it.
joking. I'm only
For sure.
joking. I'm only joking.
Yeah.
So, how did you? Obviously, you have this pretty large real estate. I would call it conglomerate, right? That's what I call our businesses, conglomerates, right? Because you really do. You do buyers, you work with sellers,
Yeah.
you do wholesale, you do flips, buy and hold, right?
Yep.
Right. All full real estate entrepreneur. But I'm sure you didn't just wake up one day and all of a sudden you have 40-something doors and you're making all this money, right? I mean, it just happened overnight.
No, not at all, man.
So let's talk about that journey. I mean, where are you from? Are you originally from California? You mentioned you're from Upland. So
Yeah.
how did you get here? Were your parents born here? Let's take them through the
journey
of Omar.
All right, cool. Well, I'm 44 years old, born in 79. My mom and dad opened up a restaurant when I was 12 years old. So I kind of learned early on what hard work was, seeing my mom and dad open up a restaurant. My dad was 50 years old when he decided to open up a restaurant, go all in on him and his family, and his wife, and with 50 years old, bro.
Wow.
This is 6 years from me today, decides to open up a restaurant.
Dude, that is awesome.
50 years old.
Where did he always want to open up a restaurant?
He did. That's been his passion to open up a restaurant. He was a bartender at New China in Upland. I used to go there, and he used to bring us Shirley Temples. We'd see him, and his whole goal was to open up a restaurant. As a matter of fact, the person that he talked to at his bar in Upland in New China hooked him up with this small town in Apple Valley, and he told him, hey, there's a restaurant available if you want it. And he said, let's do it. And next thing you know, he figured it out. We got an SBA loan. As a matter of fact, they leased the building, 1992. He leased the building for 2 years. Then we ended up buying the place that we currently have the restaurant at now. Wow. And it's crazy. He went all in. That's crazy. Knowing that was pretty cool. Like, obviously at 12 years old, you don't know that. So I'd been in the hospitality business for a while. And then I left the high desert to go to Vegas. Nonetheless, I was a bartender there in Vegas at the MGM Grand at 21. And then I came back because I liked to gamble too much. So it didn't work out very well for me.
You made good money out there, yeah?
I did, man. As a 21-year-old, we were making $700-800 a shift, which is great. But then I would double down on the blackjack table, and I would, walk away with $1,800 to $2,200 as a 21-year-old, all cash. But then some other times, I'd be leaving with a 12 or 13-hour shift, right? Your 8-hour shift as a waiter or a bartender, and then your 3-hour, 4-hour shift at the blackjack table or craps. And then next thing you know, I have nothing to show for my 14 hours of adventures. And so I had to get out of there. And at 23 years old, I decided to leave Vegas, and I went back to the restaurant to help out my mom and dad at 23. And that's where literally everything changed. I was sitting at our booth at Las Brisas restaurant in Apple Valley. If you guys don't know where it's at, you guys need to go visit. Bomb food. And there was a gentleman at the bar that said, "Hey, Omar, you ever thought about selling real estate?" I said, "No, tell me about it. What's up?" You sell a house and you make some commission. And that's what I ended up doing. And I passed the test my first try, November when I was in 2002. And that's when I got my license. And and then I just became a buyer's agent. Social media, guys, was not out, by the way.
What year was this?
02.
02. And you're how old?
I was 23.
23 at the time.
Yeah. 44 now, so I've been in the business for a little while. I didn't know what I didn't know, obviously, at 23 years old. Just like some of you guys are watching. Right. You guys don't know what you don't know until later on. But, yeah, fast forward, represented more buyers. Come to find out, my database was the people that I was serving. All of our customers, I would let them know that I'm in real estate if they know anybody that's looking to buy or sell. And this is before I had a coach, before anything. This is just like something I had to just figure out.
Right.
And it's a relationship business. Like, you know it. We're not here without relationships at all. Like our relationship. How much have we fed off of each other throughout this process? And after I became a better agent, I started understanding the listing game a little bit more. And when I was 24 years old, I bought my first house. This is a year after. And then my dad told me, God rest his soul, he did tell me about, mijo, you got to buy real estate. You have to buy real estate. And this is coming from a man that went all in on his restaurant dream, but he owned real estate as well. We owned the 2 properties in front of our house on West 21st Street in San Bernardino off of Highland, which isn't the greatest area. And we owned the main house and then the 2 houses in front. I would remember my dad walking across the street to the renters because they didn't fucking pay. And he had a baseball bat and old school stuff, right? Like, hey, because he needed to feed his family.
Yeah, you need to pay this rent.
You got to pay the rent.
Right.
And we ended up, we couldn't give those houses away. Come to find out later on, we couldn't give those houses away. So him being in real estate for that short period of time, and then him owning his own house, he always said, "Mijo, buy as much real estate as you can because they're never going to make any more."
That's awesome.
I mean, honestly.
Such wise words.
And I bought the house. He actually forced me to buy this house down the street from the restaurant. I think he had other intentions for me to be close to the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, it was only 2 minutes away. And I bought it for $150K at the time.
Wow.
And this was in 03. Yeah, 03, 04. And this is where the 80-20 loans were at. You got an 80% first and then a 20% second. It was a weird type of program back then. Yeah, and that's the only way I could have got qualified because it was a stated income loan. Oh, I stated I made X amount of dollars as a waiter because I had no other income.
Right.
And after that, I mean, just it kind of, I had that feeling of like, you know what, I got to go represent some more buyers, more sellers. I got to do this game. Yeah. I didn't really know I was jumping into it, but I did. And, fast forward to, let's just call it 5-6 years after I got my license, I just became a good buyer's agent. You know, I represented a lot of investors when the market crashed in '08. And then I had an REO account, which is real estate owned, where the banks give you your properties or give the properties to you to sell because somebody else lost it.
Right.
And then I was selling those properties. But the cool thing was, though, Adrian, is that those houses, all those people that bought at $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, I kept in touch with them, and they weren't my clients. I just sold the asset. I sold the listing.
Right.
But nobody else was keeping in touch with them, but I was. And guess what happens when the market changed? When the market increased, they all called me back because I stayed in touch with them. And then I sold their homes. This is where I was selling 100 houses a year.
That is awesome.
And
that's awesome.
That's later on. Yeah.
It's easy for, especially on an interview, for people to go right to what you're doing, right? It's easy to do. I want to come back a little bit.
Okay.
So was your dad from the United States?
No, he was born in Mexico.
So your dad was born in Mexico, comes over here. Risks everything, right? And
Everything.
This is important context because I believe that, there's somewhere along the lines as you being a kid that you picked up on certain things that still stick into your head,
100%.
that push you, that make you who you are, right?
Yep.
Was there anything in your childhood that you saw like, that or anything you can remember that stays with you? Because anytime I talk to you, you're like it's the next deal, moving forward, pushing forward, right? Do you remember where that came from? Was there a day, was there a moment where you were like, dude, or I saw this, or?
I would say like my dad being the example that we had, he worked a lot, but the time that he didn't work, he spent the whole time with us, like all day. Like you got to remember, nowadays everybody has a cell phone, everything's coming with you, everything is like at our fingertips.
Right.
Back then, it's you leave to go to a job, you come back to your family, and you have no other distraction except your family. Not saying that your family is a distraction, but you are all into your family. And that's what I saw growing up, is that he would work 2 or 3 jobs and then come home exhausted. But I never saw the part that he was exhausted, because he always kept it from all of us, and he always played. My mom would tell me that he woke us up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning when he came back from the nightclub as a bartender, just to play with us, because he knew he had to go again in the morning at 9 or 10 or 11 to go to his construction job. And that's what he would do. So she'd be so pissed off, but he didn't care, because he wanted to get the quality time with the time that he had.
So good.
And
that's so good.
Hearing it from my mom and then seeing it after being a little older, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, going up and down the hill. We were living in San Bernardino and driving up the hill to Apple Valley for 3 years.
Oh, you guys didn't move to Hesperia right away?
No, we did not.
Wow.
And we moved to Apple Valley first, right, as the family.
Apple Valley, right.
But we were driving back and forth down that Cajon Pass, and then I think my dad said one day, and I remember it was in the Mazda truck that I ended up driving at 16. It was a B2000. I was in the little back seat, that little extra cab.
Right.
And we could not see anything through the front window because the fog was so dense. And he said, this is the last time that we're driving down the hill in this fog and risking the life of the family. So I think after that, he made that decision to start looking for a house up in Apple Valley. And this was in 93 or 94. So I was 14 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Your sister because you have a sister and a brother, right?
Yep. I have a sister, a brother. My brother is 38 and my sister is 42. She's 2 years younger than me. And then my brother and I are 6 years apart.
6 years apart.
Yeah.
And your sister's had a huge...
She had a traumatic event.
Yeah, that she overcame
Just
in a huge way.
Overcame a pond stroke, meaning like your freeway axis to the back of your brain. Imagine if it just got cut or stopped and you have no more recollection of anything. You can't move, you can't talk, you can't move your fingers, you can't open your eyes, you can't breathe. It's literally your freeway that tells your brain what to do. Like right now, you guys are watching this, you guys are smelling, you guys are breathing, it stops. And that's what happened in March 29th.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's been, I want to say it's 8
years.
Yeah.
How did that, how do you usually, is that something you snap out of?
It's, it's something that even doctors don't know how she came about, honestly. Because they told
Holy
us,
shoot, dude.
they told us that she wasn't gonna walk, talk, get ready to have a change of lifestyle, is what they told us.
So like all the organs were working, but there was nothing signaling anything.
It's like a vegetable. You're alive, but you're not.
Wow.
You're alive inside, but you can't do anything. You're just sitting there on a bed. And the likelihood of you lasting a long time living off of a sack of dripping,
it's not very
fluids and
long.
stuff, it's not very long.
And she just snapped out of it.
She could hear everything, but she couldn't move. So imagine being in a jail cell and you can't move. And all of you guys have seen this or felt this when you're in a dream and you cannot like scream, yell, move or anything because you feel like something just happened to you.
Right.
That is what she was feeling when this stroke happened for a long time. So
And she
imagine
remembers?
that. Oh yeah, she remembers. She was telling us that when we were in Manhattan, when this all happened, she was telling us now that she remembered and she remembers hearing all of us there, but she couldn't say shit. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't move. And this is where she was fighting to try to like move a pinky. This is why her little thing is called pinky moves, because she moved a pinky. Yeah, she moved a pinky, and then like we were all fucking excited, and it was a trip. Yeah, it was a trip.
Wow. Dude, I didn't know it was wow. And now she is such a positive soul and
She is. She's I mean, she overcame everything. I always joke around with her, and if you guys read her book, you guys should.
yeah, that's right. What is her book?
It's called Pinky Moves. Hence Pinky Moves. The first thing that moved.
Pick it up, guys.
That
is so
and
awesome.
I'm in there and I tell her that she just, she hit a reset button. Like the Nintendo. You have to hit the reset a few times before it works. That's what happened to her. And I always joke with her because, it's a somber type of conversation because of what had happened. And then seeing my dad go through it and stuff too, his only daughter, and it was just a mess. And so I joke around with her now that, I was like, hey, Bird, you hit reset, it's okay. Like, and then when she doesn't remember, I'm like, fool, why are you not remembering this stuff? Come on. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You did, hit the reset button. So you got reset.
That's fucked up.
It's not messed up. It's
It's a joke. With
it's
you
a
guys.
joke,
Yeah.
but because it's such a, I mean, what else are you gonna say? Damn, I know that sucks. She did have a stroke.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're making fun. You're making it fun, not
Yes,
fun.
exactly,
Of it, making it
exactly.
fun. That is, wow.
So yeah, that's
Love
my
your
sister.
even more now.
Yeah, my sister's cool, and she has her moments and stuff too. So when you see this podcast, I'm talking about you, Bird, for sure. But yeah, awesome. And then my brother, my brother's been, he's been there, through a lot of stuff, and now, he got his license because of me, and he was a good real estate agent. Now he's doing something else on the back end for our companies and stuff too. He's literally the operator in the back, just figuring stuff out, creating more leads. And, obviously he's never done it before. So we're going through that process and he's doing a phenomenal job. So that's pretty
awesome,
cool.
dude.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Family event,
Yeah.
It's cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
So your dad opens the restaurant. You then meet, what was his name? I forget his name.
I meet who?
At the bar.
Carl.
You meet Carl.
Carl
turns you on to real estate. Did you know anything out? Well, you did from your dad, right? You knew a little bit about real estate, right? Did you know a lot or?
No. I just knew that I had to figure out a way to pay for the mortgage. So I got some roommates.
So you met Carl. He pushes you to get into real estate.
Yep.
Dad pushes you to buy your first house.
Yep.
Then what happens?
The office that I was at, it was called the Snake Pit. And I'm going to tell you this because at 23 years old, it's not as popular right like back then than it is now. Right now, there's 20-year-olds getting their licenses, and it's a lot more mainstream. But back then, the likelihood of you being a realtor, you were 50 years old. Yeah. You were not 23 years old in a predominantly older type of generation real estate agent. There wasn't. Right. It didn't exist. So when I got thrown into this mix, I still have some scars on my back from being put into the snake pit where you think someone's your friend, and you're telling them you have all this excitement about, I got this one deal locked up, this, that, and the other. And I probably didn't say locked up, but I probably said I got it contracted or something.
Right.
And I learned a lot of my tenacity there in that office because they handed me a phone book. that I needed a call for cold call. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was just calling every number that was there.
Right.
I didn't get through a phone book, obviously, because that's a lot of numbers, but at least I attempted it. And then I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And then we started doing some letters and creating some stuff. And this was in 03, 04, 05. And then after literally getting into this or leaving this snake pit, as you call it, I was there for a couple of years just to show face because he put me through the process. Then I went to another company, and then I teamed up with somebody else. And at that point, I stayed at this one company for a long time and created a good amount of, deals and such like that. But yeah, it was quite the journey in the very beginning.
Was it called the snake pit because people were snakes in there? Is that why you called it the snake pit? Or
Yes.
was it legitimately called the snake pit?
No, it was because they're snakes. No, it's called Victor Valley Property Center. And if you guys all know about it, then you guys are going to know about it now. And if you guys didn't know the story,
It's a snake pit.
Victor Valley Property Center. Yeah.
This is funny. All right, well, now you know. And you're right, 2003, I remember going into, my dad was an agent. I remember going to the offices, nothing but older people. You never saw younger people.
No, you
like
never
do-
saw that.
Like you
No,
do
like you do right
today.
now?
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
19-year-olds are freaking getting licenses.
Yeah,
18-year-olds. That's
Well,
crazy.
well, even when I was 19, it was still pretty rare to see a younger kid in the industry. And then now it's so mainstream that
Oh, yeah.
it happened.
And because now at the same time, it's like we didn't know what we didn't know, man.
Right,
We just got thrown in there, and I just wanted to make commission checks. That's it.
right.
Sell a house, give me $4,000 or $5,000, please, thanks. Because as a waiter, you make $4,000 with tips and your wage. So combined.
When did you, so you said you were with a team. That's when you cranked. Is that right before I met you? Was that company you were with for quite some time?
Before I opened up my own, yes, that was the company I was with for.
What was that?
I want to say it was in 16. I bought the house, and that's when I started Monet. So this was 2009 to 2015.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
2009, 2015, you were with that company until you opened your own.
Yeah, until I wanted to buy it from him, and he said no. And because I was 75% of the income.
And at the time, you were doing REO.
Yes.
At the time, you were working with buyers. You were building your listing-based
Database, yeah.
business. Everybody that you sold REOs to are calling you back.
Yes.
You're listing their properties. What was the deal count you got up to as an agent
I think
during that time?
During that time, I think the most I sold in that period of time, buyer side only, was about 75 or almost 80, just buyer sides.
You did 80 buyer sides?
Yeah,
By
dude.
yourself?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Did you have an assistant?
I had no assistant.
Do you have a TC?
I had one TC, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's because I forced the person or the broker at the time that I need some help because I don't want to get bogged down. And yeah. And back then, guys, just so to put context on this, these are houses that were $60,000, $70,000, $100K and under that were sometimes sitting on the market for months before someone bought them.
Wow.
So what I ended up doing, I was like, you know what? I'm going to streamline this process. I'd get a bunch of buyers, and I'd literally give them all the codes. Go see the house yourself. It's a bank-owned property. And after that, that's it. Guess what? They came back to me. They said, hey, Omar, we like it. Okay, great. I would send the contract. I would fax it to them because we didn't have freaking DocuSign yet. And or they would come in and they would sign. And then as DocuSign came out, oh, yeah, all of my clients were like, Omar, just make the offer. Done. And I'd make the offer and say, hey, I got this deal for you. Go look at it. You like it? Cool, you're closing on it. That's
So
literally how I was doing it.
You weren't really showing.
I was not.
Dude, that's badass.
I was
Talk about
not, man.
delegation.
Yeah, delegation. And nowadays, everybody's like, oh, my God, you didn't show the house?
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
get
yeah.
out of here.
Yeah. But back then, this is how it worked. And guess what? And they would always ask, like, Omar, you got all these buyers. Yeah, I know. We got all these deals going on. And I'd make the call, hey, I want to make sure that you guys know that we have the buyers. So I would get the agents calling me, hey, you got a buyer? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And literally, I would make the offer for them and then call them and tell them, hey, listen, John, I got you the deal.
Dude, that is awesome.
Close on it.
So this was, how many years was that? How many years
This
did you
was
run?
literally 2009,
Oh, right
10,
after.
11, 12.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think those first 4 years of crazy amount of inventory And if anybody's out there that went through that crash, you know that you couldn't give a house away.
Right.
We were talking about like, no, $70 a square foot's too damn expensive because I was used to buying them at 30 and selling them at $35, $40 a square foot. Stupid. Absolutely insane.
That is crazy. Were you in the market? You were in the market when the market crashed. Did that affect you?
No, it did not affect me because I didn't do that many deals.
Oh, okay. So you're still a newer agent.
Think about it, I was not really that new.
Yeah.
02.
Oh, yeah.
So
6 years.
06, another 4 years. Savannah was born in 06, November 29th of 06. So I was only 4 years in the business. And then I'm like, okay, this is what triggered it, right? For me to get really good at this business. And then in 07, I'm like, okay, let me figure this out. And guess what happened? In 07, everything peaked. I sold a lot of property, not 70 or 80.
Right.
I think I sold maybe 10 or 12 properties that year. But all those people that I sold bought super high and they lost the houses. And then they came back to me and we ended up short selling them in 2009, which is crazy too.
Wow.
Because I kept in touch with them all.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when that kicked off. And you were buying houses at this time?
I started establishing this whole flow. I mentioned his name earlier, John. He was one of my investor clients, and he would be buying these houses. I would lock them up for him, and then he'd put lipstick on a pig, just really paint, carpet, do the minimal work, and he was selling these assets for, $50,000, $60,000 more, and mind you, he's buying them at 70, selling them for like 150, 160, and it's like in a depressed market because everybody didn't have the money to fix up the properties. So then you came in there, you fixed them up, and you had a plethora of buyers wanting to buy.
Wow.
And it was interesting because he did that a few times, and I'm looking at the HUDs when they were called HUDs, not closing statements.
Yeah.
And he was making $50,000-$60,000
Per house.
$30,000, $40,000. I'm over here, my little check of $4,000, $4,500, because I was a 50% split with a broker. Okay, so anybody that's out there listening and you're complaining about your fucking split being 50-50, like literally take that, take that client of the 50% and earn the business, because the repeat business will come to you, not to the broker. Again, the repeat business will come to you, not to the broker. But complain about your 50%. It's fine.
So good, dude. So good. You know what's funny? Every single real top producer that I talked to that been in the game for a while started at a low percentage.
Of course.
Because they know what it's fucking like.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that come into the game at 90%, at 100% with the $500 file fee, and tell me how many deals they do, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, if they even last 5 years.
No, they don't. And honestly, everyone was always wondering, why are you there? You should go somewhere else. I'm like, listen, there's a system here. I got fed a bunch of leads, and all I got to do is call and develop the relationship with that client, so then the repeat business comes to me later. This is why I've sold 100 properties or 100 transactions a year, sides, whatever you want to call it, pretty consistently, and that broker did not.
So good, dude.
So I mean, think about it for a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of what happened in that whole process of becoming a good buyer's agent in 09, 10, 11, 12. When John showed me some more, he gave me a book too, Purpose Driven Life, which I remember
listening to it right now.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Great. And I read that book, and then now I'm on Audible.
There's no coincidences.
No, there is not. And that's something that there isn't a coincidence there, because he gave me that book, and then it opened up my eyes to be like, well, if you're doing this flipping business, I know for a fact I can do better. And not because I'm talking crap or anything. It's just because, I evolved and I learned and I saw what he was doing. And then the next thing you know, he never got another phone call from me.
That's when you started doing it yourself.
And I started buying the houses, not him.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't know how, but I do remember the first 2 properties I bought. One was $60,000, and another one was $40,000, and I still have them both. They still cash
still own
flow.
them?
Oh yeah, bro.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when did you start this run? When did you start the run of buying houses?
2009.
So 2009, you see what John's doing, you go, all right, love you, time for me to do my own thing.
Right?
You then dive in, you start doing your own thing.
Yep.
What's the run
So
like?
that run of 2009, I couldn't buy so many houses, right? Even though they were cheap. So some of these properties that the banks were giving me, I was like, why don't I just buy it if no one's buying it? So that's literally one of my first investments was the $40,000 house on Viento. And I remember the street names because, that's like something you remember.
And you still have them, yeah.
Yeah. And bought it for $40,000. And I borrowed that money from one of my customers at the restaurant who would always pay with an American Express card, who would always ask questions about, which I know he owned a bunch of doors and he owned storage units. So I would always ask him. His name is Mike. He's like one of my mentors. And I think you may have met him before.
Yeah.
And he still owns the storage units today. He's the one that told me, listen, if you find a way to buy real estate and you find some people that can lend you money, do it, because that investment is going to be worth way more than what you borrowed. So I asked him, all right, let me borrow money. And he ended up giving me $30,000. I had 15 or so saved, and I bought that first deal that I ended up I did not cash flow on that asset because rents were only $700-800 at the time.
Wow.
And then started buying the properties at the listing appointments because I'm like, where else am I going to be in front of more sellers?
Right.
So all these sellers, this is later on though. Okay. In the very beginning, 2009 and 10, you couldn't borrow money. Okay. So I had to get hard money loans for 3 points at 12% interest. And I bought about 4 or 5 of them. And I didn't care that the rents were not covered by these assets because I was working at the restaurant and I can eat beans and fucking rice and I'd be okay.
So you were taking the losses.
I was taking $100-200 losses on every house. Yeah.
How were you paying John? Was that or I'm sorry, not John.
Mike.
Mike. How were you paying Mike? Were those payments? Or was
Payments.
He was doing hard money?
Yeah.
And so you were negative on these houses.
Oh yeah, and I was negative.
Holy shit.
Negative on payments, but eventually, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
$30-40 a square foot. You can never ever do that again in a lifetime.
Right.
If we ever hit that now in our era right now, there's something really wrong and we just got bombed and there's no houses left.
Yeah, there's a major fucking issue.
Oh, I think so. More so than we'd even want to even think about.
Wow. Dude,
Yeah.
So you're getting all these hard money loans. You're working at the restaurant to pay for these loans.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're still selling real estate.
Yes, I never stopped that.
Never stop selling real estate.
No.
And that's when Monet Investments was founded?
That was so I started flipping in my name, and then I started seeing this like withholding tax, them taking money from me. So that's when I decided to open up an LLC, and that was the flipping aspect of it, the LLC for that. But, in 13, 14, 15, we're still buying properties and still acquiring more because I started understanding like, hey, I want to be in front of more sellers. So I started saying, hey, your home's sold or we'll buy it, because I was buying properties at the listing appointments. Like you and I are talking right now as a seller, and I'm selling you on why you need to pick me to list your property on the market. You're literally wanting to sell your place. So I just said, hey, why don't I just buy it? No commissions.
Love that.
And then the seller's like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. And then I started buying properties at the listing appointments.
And this was so you're building your real estate business. You're buying houses. I just want to put the pieces of the story together for those people that don't know. You're buying houses. 2009, 10, 11, 12. You're also building this large real estate team because when I met you. I didn't, really didn't know you for the investment deals. We knew you for your
just
real
deals.
estate team that
Yeah.
you had, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was always priority over the other side.
Honestly, Adrian, I did not have a plan. I didn't. I just bought the properties because I knew that most millionaires are always made by 90% of millionaires are made by real estate.
Right.
End of story. Right? And then billionaires are made by freaking acquiring businesses.
Yeah, acquisitions
and mergers. Yes, exactly. So me in that time, I didn't know this stuff. I just knew that I want to buy houses because I want to know, like, if you compound, my dad would tell me over time, the people at the house, the renters, are going to pay all your mortgages for you. And if that lasts 20 years, cool, you have 20 paid off houses at the end of 20 years. It's like kind of a no-brainer when somebody else pays for your mortgage,
Right.
you know? So at that point, I still wanted to make sure that I did the best I could for, for clients and buyers and sellers, and still earned income. My earned income made me more, like, it made the ability for me to go buy more houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Along with the flipping income, because now instead of me making $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 checks, we were making $20,000, $30,000 profits. So Mike, one of that mentor I told you about, he ended up telling me, he said that commission checks pay the bills, but profits will make you wealthy.
Strong.
Providing you use that profit to buy assets, because you can piss away that money too.
Yeah. Really
Just
fast.
like most agents piss away their commissions and they drive a 7 Series or they drive some cool stuff with no assets. That's a good way to do it.
Live in an apartment with Rolex watch and Hubu about.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm sure there's I'm talking to you guys right now. Yes, I am.
Okay, so this is big because you had no plan for the investments. You just knew you needed to buy property, but you did have a plan for your real estate group.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your real estate group and how did that evolve? Because that's when we met, and then you were crushing it at the time with how many transactions you were doing. Take us down the agent path.
That was, you know what? Like, once you start, like, if you're going to be in a business, like, try to figure out the best way to convey your message and to do deals, right?
Right.
And as an agent, and I was a little older, at that time. And this was in 14, 15, 16. 16, I was already, in 16, I started a new company called Monet Realty Group. And that's when I started it out of my office in the new house that I bought at the home office. And that's kind of when I met you at Intero.
Right.
Long time ago, 16. And literally it was myself, my brother, and then 2 other agents. And I just literally established a team. We would role play, we would train, we would understand scripts and dialogues. I didn't know who Mike Ferry was at the time at all. I had no coach.
Right.
It was me writing stuff down on how things would go in a conversation. If I wanted to find out, like, okay, are you calling for yourself or for somebody else? Because most people call for their tia and Theo all the time. Like, oh, hey, I'm calling about this property and this, that, and the other. So that was a question I wanted to add. And then it was like, are you calling for yourself or somebody else? Do you want to be in that area? Do you currently rent or do you own? Oh my gosh, that's a fucking question. Do you rent or do you own? And as a real estate agent, you got to ask that question, because you're going to go show somebody a house that they need to go sell their house first before they buy. So you're wasting your time. Or you're going to go show a house without them being qualified. It's like, come on, it's really simple. So then I wrote it all down, and that's literally the script that I gave them in 2016.
That is hilarious. So you were doing close to 100 deals a year with no real coaching, training. You weren't calling expireds. You weren't really calling for sale by owners. This was all based off of the relationships, your past clients, your center of influence, your database.
That's it.
That's huge, dude.
And
that's huge.
And that database that I was getting 50% dollars on, that ends up paying me 10 times over again. So
big.
Remember that, 50%. Don't complain.
What's your advice on building that database? If you had like one key advice for agents when it comes to that database, because that was huge, dude. 100 deals off of a database. That is strong.
That's, you know what? There are some people out there that are doing that, I'm sure now.
Yeah, it's rare.
Rare, but there are. But the advice I would give you guys, if you guys are starting this real estate game, if you're going to be the agent going into this avenue, every buyer and seller, you have to have that customer satisfaction. You have to provide the solutions for those people, because they're going to give you 5-star reviews. And the 5-star reviews can be leveraged nowadays. I didn't have 5-star reviews back then, but the minute I had the ability to access a portal to put 5-star reviews on, I did. And then I asked for all of my past clients to give me a 5-star review. And guess what? Lo and behold, my whole area, we have the most 5-star reviews, hands down, over companies. And that's just me.
And how much money do you spend advertising to your database at that time?
At that time, it was just phone calls.
So you were just calling them,
I was calling to see how they're doing.
doing
man.
100 deals a year. Yes, there's something big here.
Yeah.
Right. There's something big here for all real estate agents, right?
And for everybody.
No, exactly. Because how many of them, had they done that, would have $250,000, $350,000 every year consistently without them having to worry about, and everything they did extra was
Extra.
go on vacation, buy more investments.
But you know how they say that, it's simple to do, right? It really is. But it's also simple not to do it.
Yep.
Because it's extra work. Yeah. But I'm thinking it's like everybody wants the instant gratification.
For sure.
And back then, and I think this is what helped me, Adrian, no bullshit. Like, we didn't live in a great area where I wanted to be like, keep up with the Joneses. For sure. Okay? Yeah. I didn't. It was the high desert. We talked about this before.
No, this is big.
Like, I had a Cadillac Escalade that I did ATM my first house on, and I was stupid, and I gambled in Vegas even after I bought my house at 24 years old. But after that, I settled down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this Escalade until it freaking, blows up. And no bullshit, one transmission, 238,000 miles on that Escalade, all-wheel drive, one tranny. And it took a run.
Oh,
man.
You drove it till it broke down?
No, I drove it and I still sold it for $6,500. I sold it for $6,500.
That's fucking funny.
And what's cool about it is that because I focused on that and not having, increased liabilities,
right,
I was able to afford the negative cash flow of all these houses.
So good
at the time, and then it sets you up over time, but you don't know it when you're in it.
Right.
But I wasn't going out. I was like, I just had my baby girl in 06, and that was a whole different ball game, man. That was just like, all right, I'm in it. Like, blinders on. I don't care. This is the thing. How obsessed are you about getting successful? Because everybody talks about being successful, but are you truly obsessed about it? And is it going to cause problems? Fuck yes, it will cause problems.
Oh, yeah.
Is it going to cause you to lose relationships? Absolutely.
Yep.
Is it going to cause people to talk shit because you've changed, Omar?
Most
yes.
definitely.
Yes, I've changed. I'm sorry that you haven't, but this is something that does happen.
Maybe you should catch on. Maybe you should catch on.
Jump on the train, man. I mean, seriously, all of us are faced with this.
Yeah,
you too. I mean,
it's just the truth.
And because I didn't go out and try to be like somebody else, I think that's probably what helped me just obtain more doors.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about it. I was like, fuck, man. I bought my first brand new car because I was fucking around in Terra. Because, you know what? Level up your shit. Level it up. You know where I'm going with this. It's funny because in 16, I still had my Lexus that was paid for, which I still drive today.
Oh my god.
And then come on, it's right in the tip of my tongue.
You weren't buying $2,000 suits, bro?
No. Like, eventually, yes, I did. But we're getting to that shit. Okay, because I wasn't around the environment to have the suits and the nice clothes and the car. Right. Upgrade everything. That's what it was. Who says that?
Mike Ferry.
Mike Ferry says that.
Upgrade everything.
And after I heard that, and then everybody else saying, "Yeah, upgrade this. Yeah, you deserve it. Let me go buy a fucking Porsche." Why? I didn't need to. I did it, and guess what? I got more likes on that Porsche than I do on my fucking units.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy
because it's a car, right?
Yeah.
So that whole process of me delaying gratification for so long ended up helping me along the way, and it's paid itself off.
So let's talk about that. So you were how old when you bought that Porsche?
This was in 17, bro. So this is
40?
just no.
You turned 40 that year?
No, this is in 2017. So that was 6 years ago. I was 38.
That was 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
No, that was not 6 years ago. When you took the picture in front of the office with the Porsche, there's no way that was 6 years
it was,
ago.
bro.
Holy shit!
Because I just bought my house in 16, and that year, that 16, I ended up buying it. As a matter of fact, it was December of 16, or it may have been December. No, it was December of 17. Yes, because I bought it for taxes, just because it was a cool thing to do, and I didn't want to pay taxes.
And at the time, you owned how many doors?
At that time, I owned like 20 doors or something like that.
That is awesome, dude.
Yeah. And it was some fourplexes, duplexes, and stuff like that. Yeah.
I do want to talk about this, though. The environment plays a big role, right?
Huge role.
You didn't have a bunch of, for instance, like out here, you didn't have a bunch of Rolls Royces or Ferraris
No.
around you,
No,
right?
I
so
did
there
not.
was no. So as much as people, talk about certain environments, or they may talk about the high desert, right?
Mm-hmm.
That high desert actually really benefited you in a massive way. Because I'm just questioning, do you think you would have been as cautious with your money? Do you think you would have maybe done things a little differently had you been around an environment where that's all there was? For instance, take an Orange County environment, take a Costa Mesa environment for an example.
Okay. I wouldn't know, man. Because two things, it could have probably hurt you because you wanted to keep up with everybody else, or it could have benefited you to get in the better rooms. Because those people that drive sometimes those cars have something to share with you. Like they have some knowledge that you don't know because you're not driving a Rolls. You're not driving a Ferrari.
Right.
I always make the joke that it's like, yeah, well, I got a Ferrari there, a Lambo there, a Rolls Royce there, and these are the houses I'm talking about. But I don't, I think that everybody goes down a path, and I think that path was for me to stay grounded in that specific area, and it's benefited me because I think that, again, if you're in a different market, right, 20 years ago, if I was a real estate agent in Orange County, and that was my primary focus, and I had relationships I built in Orange County, my trajectory, of course, would be different because the cost of houses are a lot higher and the cost of living's higher. So then I guess in your environment is going to be the biggest key. But to me, it's like, hey, I own a bunch of doors.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. It's good. And it's as stressful as fuck. Yes. Anybody that tells you it's not, they're fucking lying to you.
100%. Well, and I just want to shine light on it because there's a lot of people that, are maybe in an area where like they're in the high desert, right? And in their mind, they think that they need to go somewhere else, or they think, they're just starting off or they're in high school, right? And I encourage that to a point, but I also think that some of those environments really, that's what people need. That's what that's what a lot of people need actually, right? I mean, it's hard because the environment's everywhere on this thing now,
Everywhere,
right?
yeah.
So that's the issue. But all right, so let's go. You create Monet Investments. We're at Intero. That's when we meet, and that's when I saw your investment journey really take off.
100%.
So let's go down that road.
16.
Yeah.
So in 16, I created Monet Realty Group, which is a small company. And then I met up with, with Danny and stuff like that at Intero. And then I wasn't never coached. And I was like, this is cool. Let's go down this road. And jumped on, created a team, started doing really well in just representing buyers and sellers, had a team established, and literally started just cherry picking all of these listings as purchases. And you saw that firsthand.
Right.
I picked up this property, picked up that property, picked up this one. And we were starting to flip a lot more. I think that in 16, 17, 18, 19, we were doing 20, 25, 30 flips a year, 40 flips a year. And then I was able to add more doors because I was buying them cheap. And I think it all happened perfectly, in that journey, because as we increased in 17 and 18, it was still like a plateaued market.
Right.
It wasn't like
it
didn't go through the moon yet.
Right.
And then here comes, 2020, where everything shut down, and then next thing you know, everything shot up. And at that point in time, we were like set for it. And then that's when we were, buying the properties at 3-4% interest rates, burning them out, getting all of our cash out, and, and owning free assets in essence by leveraged money.
Right.
Yeah.
And break that down just for some people. I mean, some people understand that, but others don't. So break that down.
So, yeah, no, not at all. So when we buy the assets, let's just say, for example, I'm going to be buying a property for, let's call it $300,000, and it's worth $400,000. Okay. And then what we're going to end up doing is fixing up the property. We're going to put a tenant inside the asset, and then that rent's going to cover your payment, right? But then the cool part is that it still was covering even on your bridge loan, which is your hard money loan at the time. But if you refinanced, at a 3%, 3.5% interest rate, your payment's very minimal. And the appreciation was there, which is the ARV, right? You fixed up the property, it's worth more now. And they're going to lend you 75% of, of the value of whatever the property is. So a few of the properties I did this to, I pulled out all of my money, invested, purchase, plus the rehab, and a little bit extra. And that little bit extra was $20K, $25K. So it paid me to refinance these properties, and still I was able to be positive, meaning that the tenant was paying X, let's just call it $2,500, and my payment on this thing with no money invested and money pulled out was $2,000. So I was still positive cash flow $500 a month for a free house.
Getting all your cash back.
Yeah.
That is strong, dude. And how many of those did you do?
About 7.
7?
Yeah.
I love it. And you were also picking up Airbnbs at the time. You have a pretty diverse portfolio. Mm-hmm. So how does your portfolio lay out?
So right now we are at 62 doors.
Let's go.
And that consists of single family residences, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, some short-term rentals, which I went out to Arizona, you did too, to go buy some short-term rentals because it was a thing to do in 2020. And I owned an asset out there that I didn't even Airbnb for 2 years. And I finally decided to do so. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. This was this was October of 2019. So I only had like literally that last quarter of 2019 to really see what it was doing. And I'm like, wow, this is really good income. Then we bought the other ones in February, March, April, out there, and we cash flowed well for the Airbnb. But guess what happened after all that? It ended up the amount of people that went out that caught on, because what happened in 2020? Everybody wanted to get the hell out of California.
Right.
And because of that, everybody wanted to go out, and they needed houses to be at. And guess what? That's what ends up happening. And there was a lot of availabilities, and I ended up switching all of my Airbnbs to long term.
Long term. And you have Big Bears? Are you switching those long term?
Big Bear as well. I might actually sell.
Might sell Big Bear.
Yeah, because it's horrible. Anybody that says that you guys can make a bunch of money in Big Bear for Airbnbs, they're fucking lying to you.
Well, that's because everyone went and bought a whole bunch of properties in Airbnb.
That's just crazy,
or in
man.
Big Bear. I mean, think about how many people we know own Airbnbs. And
they're not doing it.
No.
And they don't have the extra cash flow to sustain.
Which is interesting.
This. I'm just waiting.
Which we're going to talk about in a quick second.
Yeah.
Did you see Havasu was down 50.7%?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I don't have no Airbnbs there no more.
Yeah. Mine's actually cranking right now.
Yeah?
That's only going to be for 2. That's because it's July. It's June.
True. Okay.
I think it's booked every weekend in July.
Let's go.
But
Let's go.
That's it. You know it's going to stop after that.
Yeah, and that's where you have to make that decision.
It's either personal or put a snowbird or...
And I would just, snowbird it or personal, buy another asset to pay for that one so you have a nice place to go to.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah. So if you didn't have your real estate business, do you think you would have been able to buy all these houses?
No.
So talk about that, because I know so many like investors where they come in and they're like, well, I gotta buy all these doors. I gotta go, all the coaches are saying buy rentals, but they don't make any money.
No.
Or they don't have a business, or they're doing like 4 or 5 deals a year, or they're doing 2 or 3 wholesale deals a year. Speak to that.
Yeah, that's if you don't have the capacity and the earned income. I'm talking to all your real estate agents, wholesalers, even some of you flippers that don't ever keep fucking houses. Like you have to have something. Like you got to increase that earned income. I never stopped the gas pedal on my regular residential real estate, because guess what that did? That afforded me the down payments on all these assets that end up making money later. But a lot of these people that we know are literally like they're dying. And I was one of them. I'm not going to lie, because we're transparent here. There's a reason why I switched them all from the Airbnb to long-term in that market. But I also never stopped trying to represent buyers and sellers and have a team in place to increase that, because that there has afforded me the ability to go buy more assets. So if you guys are out there like, oh, you need doors, how about you need a system? How about you need, and I don't have it figured out, by the way, okay? I'll tell you that right now. None of us do. We always evolve, right?
Does.
But if you think that a door is going to make you rich, it's not. $300-$400 in positive cash flow does not change your life. But if you sold the property for $100K in profit, okay, that what it does to you, that gives you options to go buy some people. Did I say that right? I said buy some people to go help you.
You said it right.
You know, expand your ability to go make more money.
Yeah.
But that one door, two doors, it's not about having the doors. It's about increasing your earned income and staying there, and then using that money to go buy the doors, providing you can sustain that downturn.
So good.
Because I got 7 vacancies right now. Multiply that by $2,400 a month. You guys do the math. Okay? That's what I'm not making when they're vacant. But guess what? The nut is still there. You still have to make the payment. And if you don't have that extra, literally that extra $16,000, $17,000 a month, where's that coming from? Oh, that's right. You got to go represent some buyers and sellers to offset that. Oh, but you don't want to because you're too cool for school? Then yeah.
You're
Then
gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I'll buy the house when you're ready.
It's so good, dude. It's so good because we see it over and over.
All the time.
So should they be focused then on building their business and building their real estate business, and then once they have enough money, then they can start to? Or do you recommend they just go straight into buying doors?
No, get your business right for sure. Get your business right. Have that that constant flow of evaluations of representing buyers, that database that we were talking about. I would not be able to do any of this if it wasn't for the database, if it wasn't for, John, who taught me, who literally didn't teach me, but I picked up on how to flip property and use that profits to fund the rest. Not go buy fucking watches and cars. And by the way, I just bought this after 40 doors. So, I don't know. I know a lot of people that have Rolexes that don't have 40 doors. Like 50 doors. Like there's a lot of people out there. So
Most of them.
Yeah.
I don't have 40 doors. I have...
No, but you have doors, bro. And you got a business. No. What I'm saying, a legitimate fucking business.
Yeah.
Like you do. I mean, if anything, I'm always asking you how to do this, how to do that, and I'm still learning.
Don't be that guy or gal.
Yeah.
What is what we're really trying
don't
to
be
say.
that guy. Yeah.
I started to go down that path. I was thankful I had good friends around me like you and Eddie.
I was
that
fucking
slap
telling you, what are you
the
doing?
Fucking shit out of me the moment I started to go down that path. Right. So it's all good. Live and learn. Live and learn for everybody. Everybody has a different path, right?
Man. Yeah.
So you've built this great real estate, book of business. You're now growing your net worth. You're buying doors. What's next for Omar?
Businesses.
Cool.
Yeah, that's where it's at. I mean, obviously the bread and butter is still going to be flipping property. The bread and butter is still going to be the team representing buyers and sellers, and then obviously implementing the wholesale side of the business. Because as a flipper, it's so intensive in capital that if there is a change, which I felt substantially in this 22 increase of interest rate, there's been a lot of hurt there, man. I mean, a lot. And it's coming from someone that has money to offset some of those valleys, it still hurts. And it's like, okay, what cannot hurt? Guess what? Wholesaling contracts don't require too much up front, but it takes a while to get the systems going, which you and I have talked about this like at exhaustion. But the cost of entry is like, all right, cool, you got a piece of paper, you're going to sell it. And now it's just top line revenue.
Yep.
Instead of 4 months, working, people not showing up, contractors fucking you over. You've been down that road and it sucks, man. But selling a piece of paper is kind of simple.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're focusing on in addition to, starting a new business too.
So you have your growing your more wholesale, bringing more wholesale into your business.
Yes.
And then you mentioned business. What do you mean?
What I said earlier, profits will make you wealthy, right? But buying businesses will catapult your ability to, sell the asset. Like we flip houses. We flip paper, we flip houses. So imagine if we flip businesses. Everybody talks about this, but it's so hard to get into it. And all it takes is just buy an existing business and, implement some of the stuff you've already learned, and then you can sell it for a profit later. Or it's a cash cow. Because right now, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do,
Right.
and now that, that we opened up an escrow company too, which is pretty cool. And
Strong.
it goes hand in hand with the business that we're already doing, right? So you're a real estate agent, you have to go through an escrow. You're a real estate investor, you have to go through an escrow. You're a property manager, well, guess what? You might have to go through an escrow if you decide to sell the property. Like it's the perfect third party.
For sure. Yeah, it's perfect vertical.
It's perfect vertical, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm not reinventing anything.
Right.
I'm just getting in front of it in something I'm already doing.
Right. So it's funny you bring up businesses. We didn't even have this conversation. And on Wealth Mastery? Yeah, Wealth Mastery, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Keith Cunningham. I didn't record it. I can't record it. I didn't record anything. Is Keith Cunningham's segment on buying businesses. So it happened to be the only segment that I watched because I was not in it. And so long story short, I had to rebuy it. But the only segment I watched was him talking about businesses.
Right.
And remember how we've been talking about the greatest transformation of wealth occurring in real estate?
Yes.
Same thing is happening with the businesses
100%.
because baby boomers have these businesses.
And they're out.
They're just like the houses.
Yep.
The kids don't want them.
Yep.
They want nothing to do with the damn business, in
No.
fact, right? Because
No.
their whole life was their dad being at that business, so they don't fucking want it.
I know the feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're selling their business. They're willing to do seller finance because they don't need all the cash right away because of capital gains, because of their age.
Right.
And there are, so I'll send you some of the sites that he gave us on where to find the businesses, what to look for. He broke it all down. So I have all the notes for it. So
that's
it's crazy that you
hard,
bring
man.
that up. And then I happened to watch Keith Cunningham
Uh-huh.
a month and a half ago. And that's all Nick and I have been looking at, on the background. We haven't made any offers yet, but it's just, I'm just looking, right? I'm just looking.
Because that's where it
Just
starts.
looking. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta look somewhere. Like most buyers and everything are looking on Zillow.
Right.
Right.
Colton Lindsay, that's what Colton Lindsay is doing now.
Really?
Yeah. He bought a, what is those cycling play? Orange Theory?
Yeah.
He bought an Orange Theory.
Uh-huh.
They've grown it 73%, something crazy, and now they're exiting it.
And he's gonna make some fat money
Oh yeah,
on
probably.
a business.
Yeah.
Couple $100K.
'Cause another thing that Keith Cunningham breaks down is the EBITDA on what to look for, so you know what it's going to sell for.
It's a 5-6 multiple.
It's all predictable, duplicatable.
Oh my gosh.
He has we got to find it.
That's gonna be cool.
because he has the freaking blueprint.
And see, and we're not reinventing anything, guys. We're just following instructions.
Yeah, because someone else has done it.
That's it. And literally that's where you evolve to. I'm not saying go buy businesses right now if you're in real estate.
Yeah.
Just it's a progression. You want to get there, you want to be able to formulate something that you can, that you can actually do and you can have. You're a real estate agent. I'm boots on the ground still. And this guy always calls me and says, "Hey man, what are you doing? You can have somebody else do that shit for you." So yeah, but I'm a junkie. I love it. And yeah, it's one of those things I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning to take the time.
It's okay. I think I'm getting back more into things because, it's
But
an ebb and flow.
It is an ebb and flow.
Yeah, it's an ebb and flow.
Next week, I'm just going to be every single day doing something.
Yeah.
Because then what? You buy one property, you buy two properties, you list a house. I mean, I listed 3 houses and I never seen the houses. I got DocuSigns already, and it's my assistant just sent them out. I've never walked them. I already got pictures, lock boxes. It's pretty cool. And that's on the listing side.
So good.
That's cool.
All right. So what I want to do is we're going to do something a little different, Timmy.
All right.
We're going to break. You know how we always end with the, you guys, if you ever see me look this way, if you're watching YouTube, it's because I'm staring at Timmy, right? Timmy may be sending me messages. I'm sending the messages back. That's how we communicate, like Morse code. We always end with that one question, but I'm going to do something different.
Yeah.
What is your advice for real estate agents? What's your advice for people buying and selling houses, your investor?
Okay.
And then what is your advice just overall, what comes to your heart? So let's start with the first one. What's your advice to real estate agents, brokers, anyone in that real estate traditional field?
That's a good one because that's right up my alley. If you're a real estate agent, the number one thing that I would suggest to everybody do is find the busiest freaking agent, the one with the most 5-star reviews. Go ask them, her or him, if you can call the leads that they don't get to. Because guess what? They have an abundance of leads because they have the most market share in the area. And go be that person for free, okay? Don't even ask for any money. Go be that person for free. Why? Because if you bring value to that person, guess what they're going to do? They're going to put you on the rotation of leads. And if they put you on the rotation of leads, even if it's 50%, guess what? That 50% is a relationship that you can create. That 50% will be the relationship that you get to create that will end up feeding you down the way. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're that agent that wants it now, it doesn't really happen now, even with social media, even with all of this stuff. But my thing is like, if you're going to go out and be that bird dog, be the person, be that bird dog that's going to go find some deals. But guess what? You got to learn how to talk to people. If you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to have any scripts and dialogues, go on YouTube or ask that broker that probably has some stuff set up if he's doing 100 transactions or more a year, and welcome to real estate, because you're going to get kicked a few times, even if you get the help from him.
So good.
I mean, I hope that helps a little bit.
So good.
Because that's just how I did it.
For investors.
Okay. As an investor, if you're a wholesaler or flipper, I guarantee if you're a wholesaler or flipper, you're not keeping a bunch of property. That's for damn sure. Because I know of them, and so do you. We talk to them. Every once in a while, you do see that person that is that flipper or that wholesaler that does keep some doors, which is great. But if you're the flipper, remember, I don't know if it's 3 flips and then you keep one, because I think it's BS. It's wherever you're at. If you have $40,000, $50,000 you can leave in a property, then cool. Then leave in the property and don't touch it and go create some more income, go flip some more properties. But you have to learn how to buy properties and keep them. Because remember, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. That's where it's going to compound.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And real fast, if somebody says, Omar, do you think it's a smart idea I take a HELOC out of my house to go buy an investment property?
Do I think it's a good idea? I think it's a great idea depending on the interest rate and how much other money do you have coming in to offset that payment in case the renter that you go buy this other house and you put a renter in there, and if they don't make that payment, can you afford your house payment plus the equity line of credit payment plus the other loan that you get for the other house that you bought to put the renter in, if that makes sense?
So good. No, it makes perfect sense.
So just make sure you guys know your numbers.
I asked that because that's been a common question lately.
Uh-huh.
I've noticed that coming up a lot.
Yeah, you're going to get in debt twice.
All right. Now the last one.
Yeah.
The one piece of advice that comes to your heart. Maybe it's not even advice. Maybe it's just something you've learned, something that just resonates here that you want to leave the audience with.
You know, what's going to be the passion that you have to sustain the long nights, early mornings, the stress beyond belief, the crying, the emotional roller coaster that this real estate journey will take you on, and then add a relationship if you're with someone, and if you're not, add kids to it. So I didn't say replace, I said add, because the real estate market is going to chew you up, spit you out 10 times over again, but yet you still have to show face to your family, to your kids. You got to be present. So remember this journey as to why you started all of this shit. Why are you like making the calls? Why are you learning this? Why are you understanding the game? And if that passion exceeds which it will exceed your motivation, your energy, because passion will not go away if it's true. Because I know your passion is Caden and your beautiful wife. My passion is my family, my 3 daughters, my lady, my mom, my dad. God rest his soul. I just want to make him proud. So at the end of the day, like, what's in it for you? But better yet, ask the question, what can you do to impact the lives of everybody else that you truly love? That's what's going to keep you going.
So good, dude. So good. So good. You guys, you heard it here first. Omar, if they want to follow you, how do they get a hold of you?
Guys, just follow me on IG at Invest with Omar. And yeah, we'll see you guys on there.
That was so much good information. Go back, rewatch this, re-listen to it, especially real estate agents. I hope you guys take some damn notes. This was so
I
good,
hope you
dude.
do too.
This
Trust
was
me.
so good. I'm glad we finally got this out of the way.
We did it, man. It was
But
good.
what we do need to do is do round 2, all business.
Round 2, all business.
All business. We'll
And we'll break some stuff down.
Yeah.
We'll go over cost segregation.
Yeah.
We'll go over all kinds of stuff not to pay taxes. So stay tuned.
Yeah, so we'll have you back in the lab for that.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
get it. Appreciate you coming down, bro.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
You guys, don't forget to follow Omar. If you haven't done so already, make sure you share the podcast with someone you know, whether that's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All you guys got to do is type in Money Time and the podcast will pop up. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Share this channel with someone you know, guys. That's the best way that you can give back and pay it forward to what you're learning on the podcast. And I would love to know what you think of the channel. Go ahead and leave us a review. Leave us some sort of review on what you think, what you've gotten from it, what's your favorite episode. So again, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Money Time Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Let's go.